Okay, so I started making this video earlier, and what I want to talk about is reactive abuse in relationships. It's a very sneaky tactic, so I started making this video and talking about it earlier. I'm going to read something off the phone, the posts I seen on it. I've been learned about it, and it was one of the, if you watched the video I made before, it was one of the very my solution. I was very susceptible to this because I have such animated and high toxic responses to things. I did have. So learning this simple little thing changed everything for me. It helped me to understand, tactics that was used against me and how to prevent that. It gave me the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding I needed to control my own behavior, my own responses to somebody else's behavior. Instead, help me control my response instead of having a big outburst about something. Now I can recognize what is happening, and I know not to give those responses anymore. Which in the past I thought was, I'm righteously standing up for something that I believe is correct. Or maybe I could have been wrong at times. I don't know. I would have to know the specific incident, but for me, learning, it really doesn't matter, because that response was wrong, regardless regardless of the intention of how my toxic response came. It was a toxic response that should have never happened. But it was this simple thing it was this simple knowledge that gave me that understanding, which therefore gave me the desire, like, you're being an idiot. Change that. Don't give yourself to that, to anger, whatever it is. And there's a lot to it. So a lot of ways to do this. I would call it another form of gaslighting, because of the intention that's going on behind. It takes gaslighting. The real version of gaslighting is what it takes to get this kind of response out of somebody. It's a good tactic to use. I started reading this earlier, and I talked for 30 minutes and didn't even do that. So let's read this, and I'll respond to some of it. And hopefully, man, I'd like for it to be helpful, man. This is hard information for people that don't, all they're interested in is their way of life and relationships or whatever. And so they don't really want to look into this stuff and learn. And one of the points I had made earlier is, like, I watch Christian relationships, and they're like, oh, yeah, I'm meeting this person in church and this and that. There's nothing, look, every relationship should be founded and God-centered, absolutely. But there's also, these things are wars. These are wars that go on in the church also, I've watched, couples under the umbrella of God have these issues. I learned these, So, when someone pushes you again and again until you finally react, they aren't confused about what happened. They're documenting it. So for like a relationship where there's kids involved, maybe a spouse that loves using the court system, loves these types of documenting it for whatever sick purposes. And I'm not saying that all that documenting for court isn't necessary. It just depends, you know, who the person is. You know, my thinking behind it is it's for the children or whatever it might be. For me personally, I don't want the courts involved in my life. I don't want the government involved in my marriage. I understand that, you know, it's a freaking crutch. For me, that's my thinking on it. But either way, the tactic that this is speaking about is when one person is purposely know all your insecurities, know your flaws, your triggers, and they purposely do these things. And then even in an argument, they're just saying absolute nonsense because they know you'll respond by calling them out on it, which was a very big problem for me. I'm like, oh, no, don't, because I'm reading every word you say. I'm reading everything about you, your facial. I'm reading at your body language. I can see deceit all over you, right? Me and my awesomeness, I'm going to call it out like, oh, hell no, you're lying. And in all that, you don't even, it's sad. It sucks, man. Especially when it's somebody you love and you think you're fighting for this relationship, and if you can just get your point across, they'll understand, they'll love you, they'll see that you love them. You understand? When all along they have the sick obsession with hurting you, with making you look bad, with, regardless, The provocation, so they're documenting it. The provocation is intentional. Provocation. Yeah. Provoke. That's what that's saying. I didn't catch that before. The provoking you is intentional. Well, it almost makes me want to puke, man. Think, as I read this. Boundaries are crossed. For me as a man, I spent all this time locked up in my life, and disrespect is, and this isn't just for somebody that's been to prison. It's not a prison thing. Men want to be respected, and if they let their self get disrespected, and I demanded all this respect in prison, but I come out here and get with some chick and didn't understand that I should still demand respect, and that respect you should still give, and I've been very disrespectful at the same time, and I've told people, especially in the past, and coming out of prison, I'm like, hey, this is the person, this is how I am, this is what you can expect. I've been in the position where I laid out all my insecurities, overshared, I lived my life like that. When you lay out your insecurities or boundaries to the wrong person, it's artillery to them. They want to use those things against you. And me thinking I'm being outspoken and, bold, and, I paid the price heavily for that, and here I played a very great part so in this reactive abuse, oh yeah, I'm very good at it. Because I'm so animated and I have these crazy reactions. We're going to get to the disrespect. Basically, here, man. And earlier in the other video, I talked about Justin Gagey. You know, this dude's got millions. He can provide a great life for a family. And he said he don't care about sex. He's not out chasing pleasure because he said he hasn't even though he can provide a great family, he hasn't found a woman that can provide stability. I think I'm using the wrong word. That would bring the good values, peace, help. And that's with him, And I thought that was pretty sad, but because in this modern day, there's nothing wrong with couples having disagreements, and even I can take a fight. I can take care. I'll tolerate some I can tolerate. I'm okay with tolerating some disrespect. That's a hard one. Small disrespect. But can we? I don't need you to be perfect, but can you fix a problem? Can you work through a problem with me? But if you're just a mouth, here, I advise all men, men need respect, period. So, if you're that man, most are, and outside of that, you're basically I've been that, absolutely, sucker, And even me with that knowledge, saying that right there, and I said it in the video earlier, I want to make my child happy. It's hard for me to say no. It's hard for me to be a stern, strong man in that position because this little girl melts my heart, and I just want to make her smile, and I just love that, man. But I do know, she does know how to push my button sometimes, and I do know how to be tough when I have to. But I don't like telling her no. I just like it when she loves me, and she knows I'm going to protect her. I'm going to show her how to be strong. That's my job. And with that being said, I want to do the same thing for my wife. I don't want to tell her no. I want to make her happy. I think that's my job. It's my responsibility. I want to pay the bills. I don't want your freaking nothing from you, except for here. If you respect me, listen to what I say, work through a problem with me. You want to talk about a problem? And have a solution? Oh, you can't do that? Oh, that sucks. Because I can. I can compromise. I can give all that. So, my friends, any advice I can give, and then, man, please, Christians, you men in sober livings, you men in freaking faith-based programs and in churches looking for your perfect love in a church that you watch her worship and you watch her pray and all that. My friend, you better be ready, and you better learn these things. Jezebel spirit, narcissism, all of this has been the most beautiful stuff to fall and to fall into my lap, to guide my life. Thank you, God. So, in me saying all this and reading this, I give God praise that I'm not susceptible to certain behaviors. Very loving, very forgiving. and I spend my life, and I'm not just talking about like relationships, I'm talking about now I see the world through a different lens. And that's how I move when I'm dealing with people. And it's hindered me a little bit because sometimes I feel antisocial. Uh, I have to ignore a lot of things because, nobody wants to hear what I feel in a conversation with them. Like, okay, you start, you know, when the tactics or the manipulation tactics or the deceit creeps in, and I want to call it for what it is, or they're telling me a story, and all I'm doing other things in my head with their information. Uh, this is just sometimes, but either way, it pushes me away, like, because I look at the world like, here, man, that wouldn't bother you if you really just opened your eyes spiritually and looked at this through a different light. Or if you understand the behavior that was happening to you, because I've talked a lot to people and I'm like, okay, this could be this, but I don't want to put it on that. But you have to have your own discernment. I can tell you from my experience what I know. But in love, if you're feeling this, this is something I learned. Like, you don't need to know that a person is a narcissist if you guys are having this toxic interaction, and it's always their way, or you can't stop doing your behavior. Do you want to be that person? Do you want to be the person that receives? Do you want to be a simp? Do you want to be a sucker? Do you want to be, you know what I mean? You have to make the decision that it's not worth your self-respect no more. And you have to make a decision to walk away from people that you love. Sadly, you can forgive, but you have to understand. But for me, like, I can forgive, but I also have to understand some things. Like, it doesn't matter how much I forgive, how good my heart might be in a situation, or that doesn't mean the behavior is going to change. This is hardwired behavior. So that's my advice is the respect thing, man. If a man will sacrifice his respect and his small boundaries, or, and that's the importance of learning this stuff and knowing it. If you sacrifice that to the wrong people, they will use it over and over and over again. The provocation is intentional. Boundaries are crossed. Feelings are dismissed. Words are twisted. Reality is denied. Pressure builds steadily until your nervous system is overwhelmed. I've been learning a lot about the nervous system, but let me go back a little bit. In learning this, I want to take accountability for when I was a younger man. I cheated on all my girlfriends. I thought that was my way. I thought I had everything twisted, I was a follower. I thought my way of being a man was how many girls I slept with, and not being loyal. And in my heart, I'm like, okay, this is a good person. I love them. It's easy. So, okay. So it's easy it is easier for a man to be promiscuous. I believe it's more hardwired in a man to seek more women. In the way that I did learn from another source was it's different for it. There is a difference for a man and a woman. Like, a man is hardwired to procreate. The woman is receiving. So I don't really need to get into all that. kind of another subject, I guess. It's wrong either way, you know. But that nervous system, I know that. So me, through being through institutions, and my nervous system was already, and then I am a very extreme drug user. So it really showed my nervous system. I think it really shows a lot when I use drugs. Because I suffer from extreme paranoia, you know, more than anybody I would be around, you know, which I know it was from, because when I say extreme, I just used large amounts of drugs, and you know, and that was, I only wanted to be way out there. I didn't do drugs just to do a little bit. I wanted to push every boundary, you know. My high was surviving, knowing that I just did some pretty crazy stuff. Yeah. Your emotional response is put on trial. Oh, I'm skipping, okay. Words are twisted, reality is denied, pressure builds steadily until your nervous system is overwhelmed. And then, when you finally break, that single moment is isolated and presented as the whole story. Yeah, it's perfect. That's reactive abuse. It's a pattern where ongoing mistreatment is erased and your emotional response is put on trial. Your response, your tone is put on trial. Instead, the gaslighting disappears. The gaslighting disappears. The manipulation is edited out. The disrespect is minimized. What remains under scrutiny is not what caused the reaction, but the reaction itself. I was perfect for that. And it's just amazing, you know, as I read stuff, it's amazing to me, like, it's amazing that I was so subject to this. Like, yeah, why would we talk about the other thing? You're freaking, I don't agree with that. Because I was still, even in my anger, my rage, whatever it might have been, I made my point. I was able to still get my point across. And that's what would drive me nuts. I'd be like, do you think I like yelling, blah, blah, blah? I'm yelling, fighting for this cause, for this relationship, for this love. And all you care about is the tone, but you don't care about, why wouldn't I flip out with this kind of disrespect? Do you get it? That's how so I'd be mind-boggled, twisted, like, are you retarded? And here I'm saying it to you, but this is reality. Like, hell no. This is, you know, and that'd be my kind of response. Like, no, don't play retarded. You did say this. Blah, blah, blah. Do you understand how disrespectful that is? That's great. And I even know my point is correct. I think it's great. Right. Do you see the beauty of this reactive abuse? Skip everything of all that great stuff you think is right. You are yelling and flipping and blah, blah. Now, so yeah. Where I started to go a few minutes ago was, oh my gosh, the fact, so me, in some of these things, in my younger life when I was, you know, when I'm reading these words, gaslighting and blah, 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 I'm not, I am guilty of these things. I absolutely, this reactive abuse thing, I can't think of a situation where I would have ever done that. But my way of lying out of cheating when I was younger, or I'm only going to my friend's house for this or that. No, you're going to do drugs, you're going to go do whatever. I know that the forms of me doing that stuff now I know that I did gaslight. Now, was my intentions to drive somebody crazy? No, but I used the tactics of gaslighting, which would be considered absolutely gaslighting. I used the tactics, not with the intent, but I did use those tactics. Like if you tell someone you're crazy, like, oh, you're crazy, you're tripping. I wasn't over there. I'm not intentionally trying to make this person crazy, but that is the real definition of gaslighting, with the intent to change someone's perception or reality of the truth. The months of subtle cruelty aren't mentioned. The exhaustion, the constant poking, the psychological strain. Now, them words right there, the exhaustion, the constant poking, the psychological strain. I've been guilty of putting that pressure while I was on drugs. I know that. I've been a stressful person in this stuff, you understand? And that's, so there's I was able to, in learning all this, I was able to self-reflect. I don't want to be that person. Regardless. Psychological strength. The deliberate triggering are ignored. Only the moment you snapped is highlighted, because that moment makes you look like the problem. And that is by design. Okay. So, they needed that reaction, that message, that tone, that outburst, not because it harmed them, but because it gave them leverage, something to display, to justify themselves, to protect their image. Safe people don't do this. Safe people recognize distress. They slow down when someone is overwhelmed. That's been fun. Like, because I'm easily overwhelmed. I don't have, I would like to be stronger, and, like, too many kids freaking, nagging at me, that it becomes overwhelming day in, day out. I'm not the best, person with that, because there's, especially when you're carrying, when you're in a position where you don't have authority, you don't have the ability to say anything, you don't have the ability to correct, so all you are is a person that has to take the punishment, and that's it. You have to do everything that's said to you, and all that. I am almost there. Okay. Protect their image. Safe people don't do this. Safe people recognize the stress. Boom. I've been through that, where coming off drugs or something, and dealing with a person who is poking. Not just coming off drugs, just at any time. I would think, like, surely you got to see that I'm stressed out, and you just keep pushing me with one little thing after another, like, So for me, a thing I've been thinking about a lot lately, because, I bite my tongue when I have to, I live my life biting my tongue about a lot of things, And I was recently in a situation where a person was doing these things. I'm like, oh, this person must have forgot. I thought this person, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, I don't say nothing about a lot of this stuff. This person must think that I really don't know everything that I've claimed to know about narcissism and about all these manipulation tactics. All that, it's forever written in my heart, in my mind. And I'll never be susceptible to that stuff again, man. But I've been in that situation. I'm like, oh, this person, are we still doing these same tactics? I'm like, come on, man. Just because I'm not saying that doesn't mean I forgot about. I have a great memory. I haven't forgot. I'm just letting it go. I just don't let it hurt me the way that you loved for it to hurt me. See how much someone, okay, they don't keep pushing just to see how much someone can take. Manipulative people do the opposite. They escalate when you're vulnerable. They apply more pressure when you're emotional. They provoke until you explode, then perform shock, innocence, and defense when you finally do. I saw the smirk on someone's face when I'm like, one time I just made a comment like, hey, I'm going to give you a response. And this person was like, I said, I'm going to fight with you a little bit. I'm going to give you a response. And they smirked like, I'm like, you ain't even got enough sense to hide that, huh? I'm like, you want me. It's like, you want me to know. You're that excited by that. Like, you want to smile because you think it's, like, you're not going to get it much of it. I'm just going to, I just want you to I just want you to know that I can say this. I'm going to give you a little bit of pleasure, a little bit of, you getting a response from me. Because I want you to know that I tried. I did care. I loved you enough to say, hey, look, I'm putting myself out there. You do what you want. I totally understand and expect you to do what you do. You like hurting people. You get off on this weird stuff. You don't want to learn nothing. You don't, man. But the truth is, you're not going to be able to say nothing bad about me in this situation. They don't keep pushing just to see how much.
It's you, Dane, and Tim.
Driving? Gotcha.
Yeah. And I'm staying back.
Okay. Pushing just to see how much someone can take. Manipulative people do the opposite. They escalate when you're vulnerable. I'm running out of time. I only got a couple. They escalate when you're vulnerable. They apply more pressure when you're emotional. Blah, blah, blah. And defense when you find innocence. It's a setup. Because once you react, the focus shifts. Accountability vanishes. The conversation stops being about their behavior and becomes entirely about yours. Your pain. I'm gonna share one with you. I was told so many times, like, oh, we can never get to those issues because yours is so much more serious. I'm like, well, if those issues are so small, you mean to tell me we can't fix none of those in the meantime? Like, that would be my argument, my fight. I was told that so many times. Like, oh, okay. The conversation stops being about their behavior and becomes entirely about yours. Your pain is dismissed. Your boundaries are reframed as aggression. That wouldn't be hard to do with me. Their actions quietly fade into the background. That's how responsibility is dodged. That's how reality is rewritten. That's how control is maintained. So if someone repeatedly triggers you, ignores your distress, and then uses your reaction as evidence, that uses your reaction as evidence that you're the problem, you're not dealing with a disagreement. That's the end of it. Your reactive abuse. Provocation, gaslighting, manipulation, blame shift, deny, and deflect. Show you break. Yeah. I'll go through some more, just more stuff when it comes across my heart and something jumps out at me, man. I don't have a specific order and how to teach on some of these things, man, but I know that's valuable, man. And if you can see the pattern, and maybe your relationship and when I say relationship with a boss, and these different kinds of toxic people, and it's good to learn, man, so if you can place your own tactics and you can pick up on them, like, hey, I do that, like, this is how it worked for me when as I'm learning all this stuff. I didn't just pick out the things that, I'm a victim of. No, I picked out, I do that, I've done that in that situation, or whatever. That's what I did. Look, let's go to the reasoning and why and how. That's why I have that response. Okay, let's not do that no more. Let's change. I didn't know it. That's the beauty of it, man. You want to change. You want to, amen. I'm done. That's my thing on reactive abuse, man. One of the things. So, man, if you're dealing, for anybody dealing with a disrespectful partner, man, you can forgive, man, but if this behavior don't change, man, you gotta walk away, man. Amen.